You take baseball. The infielders, outfielder, everybody, they're making plays that 30 years ago you would have thought were impossible.
I think the name change is it's a wonderful tribute to the fans who supported the team in the 1930s, the 1940s, and the 1950s, and I think it's a wonderful way for the fans of today to have an idea of Jackson's baseball heritage.
The first game that the Diamond Jacks played here, of course, the company had season tickets, and I went to the very first game. And all of these years that I gave up baseball, I never did look back that much. I mean, you make a decision, you don't worry about it. You keep going forward. But when I saw that first game, I thought, you know, I believe 2 out of 3 the old Jackson Generals, I believe we could have took these fellas, okay? Especially that 1950 team that we had.
There were several players, prominent players that played in the Kitty League and that played in Jackson. In terms of Hall of Fame players, it was interesting, in 1927 the Toledo Mud Hens had their spring training here in Jackson, and they actually hosted an exhibition game with the New York Giants.
It was a good team. It was a very good team. We had good pitching.
Of course, this is the time when John McGraw was the manager of the team, and you also had players such as Fred Lindstrom, Rogers Hornsby.
Some of these old timers hear this video, they'll remember names like Partain and Seawright and Valdez.
And the Mud Hens were managed at that time by Casey Stengel.
I remember one night I was pitching in 1950, and the manager was Gabby Stewart. He was an ex-Major League third baseman, and he was the catcher. And it was about the 5th or 6th inning. He came out on the mound. He said, "Give me the ball. You don't have anything out here." He didn't say anything, but I can't use the words he used.
The Kitty League was just interesting because it sort of had a reputation for unusual plays, unusual players.
That's one thing you cover even in spring training. The manager's got it in your head that when I go out there and I reach for the ball, you give it to me.
Shoeless Joe Jackson came to town. This was after he'd been banned from baseball in the Black Sox scandal. In 1923, he played for a team in Blytheville, Arkansas. But he came here under an assumed name. But it was general knowledge that it was Shoeless Joe Jackson. I think he went by the name of Joseph.
But in this case, I said, "Gabby, let me try one more guy." I said, "I'm just missing those corners." I said, "Give me a target a little more in the middle of the plate."
Probably the most prominent would be Ellis Kinder. Ellis Kinder was a right-handed pitcher. He pitched. He was actually discovered by Preacher Gillum, who was the brother of the owner of the Jackson Generals, and he was discovered in 1938 in Arkansas. And Preacher brought him back to Jackson to pitch for the Generals.
He was having me pitch corners, low and high. He said, "Okay, well, I got the first strike on the batter. The next 3 were balls, okay?" And so we had a big rosin bag, if you know what that is. I picked up that rosin bag and took my sign, went through my windup, and I threw that rosin bag, and it just went, just smoking. And as I threw it, our dugout was on the third base side. As soon as I threw it, I started walking to the third base line because I knew he'd throw me out. Well, it was almost a strike, and when the umpire, it took him a second or 2 to realize what it wasn't a baseball. He looked out the mound, and he said, and he saw me way over here, and he said, "You're out of there." Well, I was already in the dugout.
But that was the Kitty League. The Kitty League was famous for these kind of unusual plays.
It was a Sunday afternoon game, and I was pitching, and there was a play at second base. It wasn't even close. The opposing team runner was safe by 3 feet, but Gabby Stewart, the manager, he come running on out there, and I thought, well, he's crazy. That wasn't even close. But it was a slow game, you know, 3 up, 3 down. It was hot, and I saw right quick he was trying to put some more excitement in the game.
Kinder, of course, went on. He was he helped the Jackson Generals win the 1941 Kitty League pennant, and then he went on and went on to a major league career with the St. Louis Browns, the Boston Red Sox, the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Chicago White Sox. In fact, Kinder was a local celebrity here. Even after he went to the major leagues, he still made Jackson his home, and he would come back. And sometimes he would bring a barnstorming team of former major leaguers. There was one season he brought Joe Garagiola and Yogi Berra and a team of major league players, and they played a local group under Toad Bailey.
Gabby ran over there and he said, "Hey Phil," whatever the umpire's first name was. He said, "I went fishing last week on our day off, and he said, I wasn't fishing in water this deep, and man, I caught the greatest fish. And then I got my pole caught in a tree," and he's going through all these gyrations talking about fishing. Had nothing to do with the play. And the umpire said, "Gabby, sit down. You're getting the crowd riled up at me." Well, that's what he wanted to do, is get some excitement in the game.